Okay, I think we're going to get started here. Welcome to Connie, who is going to be presenting in just a little bit. We'll go ahead and get started with our session. Welcome to the 14th TILO Presents session today, and we are presenting via Google Hangouts on air. My name is Carrie Rasak, and I'm the Integration Specialist here at Rossford Schools in Northwest Ohio, near Toledo. And we're so glad you can join us for this session with Connie. Connie Fasig will be presenting in just a little bit on the Unplugged and Plugged-in world of beginner coding. And it's expected to be about 60 minutes for the session, with some time for Q&A at the end, as well as throughout if something is asked on the Google Doc that needs to be addressed right away. We'll try to chime in and have Connie address that. So if you'll notice on the YouTube page, as well as the document that was shared earlier, this is the link to it as well. You can go back to that, show that here, just a moment. On this document, there's a short link here for the question form. If you want to use that, that's also posted on the YouTube page there in the description for the item. But again, that will be going away here just momentarily, so you can check in your Google file for that. Okay. And without further ado, I will introduce Connie and just let everyone know this is being recorded, and it will be available on the YouTube page, and I will send out an email with the link to the recording once it's all set. So without further ado, Connie, I'll let you take over.
All right. Great. Hi, everyone. I am Connie Fasig. I'm a technology integration coach at Constellation Schools. I work at the Parma Community Intermediate as well as the Parma Community Elementary School. So I am going to talk to you guys a little bit about coding in the classroom, so both unplugged and plugged-in coding. It is mainly for beginners. So some of it I will talk a little bit about, maybe some of the higher level ones towards the end, but most of these will be really good for any K through 8 students. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys now so I can show you my presentation. All right, so we're going to get right into it with the unplugged and plugged-in world of beginner coding. So coding, there's lots of different websites that we're going to talk about. There's code.org, Scratch, Khan Academy. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. I've used it for math class before. It has a lot of computer programming information in there. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some unplugged opportunities for your students. So what is coding? I know every time I talk about coding or mention doing different coding activities, I get a little inquisitive look of, you know, I don't know what coding is. I'm not sure. I'm kind of scared. Coding is just the term used for the specific statements written by computer programs. So there's a lot of different various coding languages out there. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of these, like SQL. There's Ruby, C++, that was always a popular one. Java, I'm sure everyone has seen JavaScript or something come up on their screen when they're on websites. And then Python is another big one, okay? So these are just some of the computer program languages out there. There's even more. I don't know all of them. What I will say is I'm actually not a computer programmer. I'm just very passionate about teaching students how to code. So if you're wondering, well, why is somebody talking to us about coding who isn't a computer programmer and why it's important, I will take this time now to introduce myself. So I have a 7 through 12 integrated math certificate. I taught math for a few years, which, you know, one question I always got as a high school math teacher was, why am I learning this? It's not going to pertain to anything I do. And my response was always that they are learning how to be logical problem solvers, and they're getting critical thinking skills, which honestly, once you learn and see what coding is about, you realize how much of coding that is too. Coding is just learning about logic and problem solving skills. So I am now, like I said, a technology integration coach. In my current job, I planned and implemented hour of code activities for kindergarten through 6th grade core teachers as well as specials teachers. Yes, my specials teachers, who are amazing, did coding with their students. So they did coding in the gym classes by coding robots. They acted as if they were each other. They were robots coding each other. My art teacher did binary, which we'll talk a little bit more about with their students. And even the music teacher talked about functions and how songs are basically a type of a function. So there's lots of different ways it can be included. I'm self-taught with HTML. That is the main coding language that I have used. I taught myself in about 6th grade. The only reason I remember what grade I was in was my teacher gave us a project in social studies and gave us different options, and I asked him if I could make a web page instead of any of his options, and he said I could. So I do remember making a web page for one of my projects and turning it into him. There were no courses in middle school or high school for me to take. So my coding experience kind of ended with some limited HTML, but it again just shows how important it is. So for technology in general, like I said, just the age I was, I self-taught myself typing, Microsoft Office, and Google Apps too. So that's kind of the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching kids to code, because we have all the tools necessary. Unlike when I was growing up, there really weren't, tools or websites to go to, but we have everything now available for our students to learn how to do it. So to talk a little bit more about why it's so important to code, I have this quote. I've seen it a few times and I've heard it. Today's technology is the worst our students will ever use. So if you think about it, that kindergartner that you're seeing in class, the technology they're using is the worst. It's only going to get better from here. I think about, I have a 2.5-year-old, and when she plays with my iPhone 7, that's literally the worst phone she's ever going to play with. She's not going to know about flip phones or anything like that, because technology is just going to get greater and greater. So to talk a little bit more on that and why it's important to teach coding, I'm going to go on an infographic from Codable. So Codable is one of the websites I'm going to talk about that's available to use to teach the kids coding. And there's lots of different infographics and websites out there on all the reasons to teach coding to kids. This is just one that I wanted to go over and use today. It kind of focuses on just 5 main points. It is a little older, it's a few years old, but the points are still definitely good for today. So 5 reasons to teach kids to code from Codable. One is that learning programming empowers kids. It definitely does. The students are sitting there and they're listening to the teachers, they're taking notes, they're doing the activities, but coding kind of puts learning into their hands even more, because they are taking on the responsibility of trying to, either code the program on the computer, maybe they're trying to code a robot, whatever is available to them. So it really empowers them and gives them a lot of cool and different tools that they may have never gotten to do before. It's as easy as learning a language. I mean, coding is a language. So it's the same idea as if you were to learn French or Spanish. It's its own language. And honestly, a lot of the coding languages and words that you see, they will reflect back to what they're going to learn in math. Look down here, we see the word function. That's a big math term right there. So they're able to relate and put everything together as they learn the language of coding. So the earlier students are able to get it, diverse early learning benefits kids. So it does give them a lot of different ways to think about things. It really gives them problem solving skills. So if you're giving them coding as early as kindergarten, they're starting to practice logic and problem solving at that early age. This one is one of my favorite ones, becoming fluent with technology. So it's definitely going from being the consumer to a producer. So it's not just using the technology, but it's also figuring out how it works. Why am I able to just type in google.com and I go to a search engine? It's understanding all of that, of what they're seeing. A lot of students already go to the source code in websites and start playing with it and editing it. and they might see a 6 character set there, and they'll change one of the characters, and all of a sudden they've changed a color. They know that it does it, but they may not know why, and that's how learning to code will help them understand what they're playing around with, why it works that way. Also, I want to say on this is that another example is one of my technicians, a student came in, and the technician went ahead and fixed his computer for him right in front of him. He took the keyboard off, and coding doesn't do this, but again, just showing how students are so interested in how everything works. When they took that keyboard off, the student could not believe they could see the inside of their computer and how neat it was, and even went down and told the rest of the class, you know, oh, I got to see how he fixed it. I mean, they're very interested, especially the younger you go, they're very, very interested on how everything works. So it's even going back to why we're doing it, the 5th reason, we need more programmers. Over the next 10 years, programming is going to become one of the fastest growing occupations. So we're going to need, we're getting more technological, which is absolutely fantastic, but we need people who understand how to make and work that technology. Using it is one thing, but we need somebody to help continue it to be produced, okay? So we don't want to leave all these empty jobs. And I'm not saying that we're going to teach coding so that every single student becomes a computer programmer. It's the fact that they're learning skills, and some of them may realize, wow, this is something that I'd really like to do. So it's something good to introduce to them, not only for the skills, but they may want to do it as a job later on. So as you can see, this is 2013, so it's just comparing jobs, even the price, how different it is. 60% of math and science jobs are computing, but only 2% are actually computer science students. So again, those are 5 reasons that I got from Codeable. If you Google and search for why teach kids coding, you'll get a bunch of different graphics and infographics on it. So there's a lot more out there. Most of them go over about the same reasons that I talked about here. So let's get into the different ways to teach coding. So of course there's plugged, but we also have unplugged. So we can do both the plugged and the unplugged version of coding in the classroom, which you might be thinking, unplugged, what's coding if you're not using a computer? And we'll go over that and what they'll learn. So let's plug it in and let's talk about coding in the classroom with computers, whether it's desktops, laptops. I'll talk a little bit about tablets and phones. I know a lot more about the coding programs that are available on desktops and laptops, but I do have a couple of different apps that I'll let you know if you do have tablets or phones that you'd like to check them out. So I wanted to try and break these down into different categories. There are so many different websites out there that offer coding. So some of them are going to overlap each other in which section they fall in. But the first section I'm going to talk about are more curriculum and video-based coding websites. So these ones have more of a curriculum that you would follow along, like code.org, which was created as part of Hour of Code. They have a great 4-stage curriculum. CS First, which uses Scratch, and Scratch is an online website made from based from MIT, and that one I will get a lot more into also. CS First is a little bit more, I think they consider it to be more of a like after school program or a club, but it can definitely be done in the classroom also. Codeable, like I said earlier, we will come back and talk with that one. So there's Khan Academy, which has different videos, Code Club International, which is based out of the UK, and then Code Academy. So these are just some of the different curriculum and video-based ones. We are going to focus on, and Code School, I apologize. We are going to focus on just a few of them because I can't talk about every single one of them. So for curriculum and video-based, we're going to focus on the code.org, CS First, and Codeable. So I'm going to take you guys to code.org to show you what it looks like. So here in code.org, you will see that you can go to Code Studio to explore the sources. So this is where the students can go. You as an educator, you can make classes out of it. So the students can just jump in here, and there are, as you can see, different courses. So the course, they give you suggestions for the age level. So course 1 would be more of kindergarten, first grade, and then they can move up to course 2, course 3, course 4. If you're working with older students that may not be used to coding or understand it, they can, of course, start with course 1, but it is very, very simplified. I'll show you kind of what this first one looks like. So you can see it's literally just trying to get this image to the box. So it's very, very simplified, much more kindergarten and first grade based, okay? That is a really nice one to check out. First, this one uses Scratch, and you sign in through Google. So with this one, and I am already logged in, so I'm going to go to my dashboard. And all of these links that I'm clicking on are available if you go to the presentation that we've shared. So I've tried to give you the best links that take you directly there. I'm going to show you how you can start a new club. So if you just click on it right here, you will, when you sign in, you tell them what school and everything. So you create a club. And with these ones, you're able to choose from different themes. So there's a storytelling theme. We have friends, art, fashion design. So like I said, you could do these for after school. You could do these during one of the classes. So even specialist teachers could do something. And they even tell you whether it's easier or more challenging. So let's say we choose music and sound. So when you choose the theme, it's going to give you everything you need for it, okay? And you just select your first date. So let's say May 1st is going to be our first date. May 1st, 2020. Okay, May 1st. If you're doing it during the day, you could put it in here. It's giving you times because it does end the student when, say, the club or the class would end. And it lets you generate a schedule. So that schedule just pop up on when the activities would be done. So you're able to change and edit these how you want. As you can see, it's thinking it's about 2 days a week right now. And you can save the schedule. Now I wanted to talk more on this and show you how this works, because with the CS First, here we go, this is what I wanted to get to. They send you a free box of materials. All of these come with everything. So you get passports, you get badges, you get the information on how they would solve the different coding problems that they'll get, the different activities. So I'm going to say no to shipping it because I don't need these ones. But if you are having them shipped, they do ask for a few weeks. They usually come pretty fast, but they want to make sure that they have enough time if they're sending out a lot at one time. Okay. So I'm going to get out of this so I can keep talking about the other different coding activities, but I wanted to get through to at least show that you can get a full box of materials that you're able to utilize. Okay. So once you've made a club, all your students will be invited. You just give them the club code. And once they get in there, they're going to be given a username that you can have them sign. They can write it out in their passport along with the password. It's really important because their usernames usually kind of, it's not something they can usually remember because it's CS and then like 6 or 7 numbers after that. So, and then that username and password is what they will use to log into Scratch. So they'll have CS First and Scratch open in 2 separate screens, but they'll be using them at the same time. Okay. Let's see if I can get into. Let's see. All right, so I'm just going to see if I can try and show you one of the examples. So let's click on an example project here. I'll get that open. All Sorry. I'm going to get into one of the example projects right now. All right, so, but this is where you could view the materials for activity 1. So the lesson plans, like I said, here's the example project. It should open in a new screen. Why it's not. Okay, here we go. So here's the second one. This is one of the example projects that the students would see and that they would be able to edit. So they would jump into here, and this is Scratch. So this is where I'm saying they would have Google CS First open in one tab, Scratch open in a second, and they would be going back to CS First to watch videos to understand what they should be doing. So it's very, they can go on their own, or you could do it together as a class and show the videos up on a projector so that they, you guys are kind of doing it more as a group. Okay, but like I said, this is one of the different projects that they could work on, and oops, that did not work. So, all right, sorry about that. Let me get out of this one because there's a lot more to talk about. So I will go more into Scratch in the next set. I do want to show you Codable. Codable is more for kindergarten through 5th grade. So with Codable, you do have to pay for a little bit of it. You have single sign on here. Okay, so I did make a little practice class so I could show everyone. Now it's nice because there are some free ones, but as you can see, all these little locks, these are the ones that you would need to pay for, and they do have different school payments or individuals for you to use. So if you just want to do a couple of them out of here, they're very, like I said, it's kindergarten through 5th grade, so they're very, very simplified. Basically arrows and things like that you're using. Yeah. So as you can see, it will even tell you that you need to upgrade if you're trying to go to one that you need to pay for. So here is the 3rd lesson. So it gives you some direct instruction on what you're talking about, conditions and conditional statements. So you can explain to the students what these programming words mean, okay? Some guided practice that they can do. Independent practice is down here. The independent practice is where you assign it. So once you assign the practice, your students are able to go in and work on it, okay? So I'm going to show you that really fast. All right, and so I'm going to sign in as a student right now. So I'm going to enter the class code here. All right. So as I'm signing in, I am going to see, yep, I just click on my name. All right, so I'm going to play next level here. And as you can see, it's very simplified. So we're giving it, we're just giving it directions. And that's really basically what coding is trying to give directions. But I have to understand and figure out, the easiest routes. Now, what I will tell here is I know that I have to go all the way to the end of the wall right now to turn. I can't turn when I get the star. So I'm going to have a couple more arrows here to be able to do that. So this is part of where the problem solving comes in. So some of the other programs are similar to this, but they do get more complex as you move on. All right, so I'm going to close out of this one. But you're able to see the progress with this. Like I said, there are some, there's a lot more if you pay for it, but there is a free version that you can use. And they give you the different sets of instruction and lesson materials, guided practice, things like that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go on to my next set, which is self-guided. So this doesn't really have a core curriculum. It's more of just a list of where they can go for different activities, games, or just where they can go for hour of code. So code.org is listed again, and I will show you the reason why, because they have a lot of the hour of code material in there. There is Lightbot, which is really great for, I would say, anywhere from 3rd through 5th or 6th grade. Scratch, so this is where I'm going to get more in depth with Scratch and how Scratch works. That Scratch is definitely higher, I would say 4th, maybe 3rd grade and up. Okay, there's a lot you can do with Scratch. So these are the ones I'm going to focus on, but there's also BotLogic. The Foos is a really great one. That one does have a paid version. The free version is an hour of code version, so it's only an hour's worth. There is an online Legos version even, Code Avengers, Code Combat. I mean, there are so many activities and games out there. I don't even think I have found all of them. It's almost every single day I can search and find just more and more different websites out there that students can use. What I have at my school is I actually have a Symbaloo that is filled with different coding activities, and my teachers use it as kind of a may-do. Like if they're done with what they should be working on, they're allowed to go into the Symbaloo and do one of the coding activities, okay? So like I said, these are all different links to get you to the free versions. Even the Tinker is paid for, but they have a list of free ones that you're able to use. So like I said, we're going to only focus on a few of them. So for self-guided activities, games, and hour of code, I'm going to start with code.org. So we were at this website earlier because I showed you the different stages, and I showed you that you're able to set up your own class and you're able to monitor the students there, okay? I know I didn't go through finding the class, but you know, that is an ability in here. So I also want to show you that this is where you can also go to for hour of code. Any of these sites you can use for hour of code. Hour of code, if you don't know, sorry about that, is during Computer Science Week, which is in December. It is the hope that, you know, as many students as they can get will participate in just 1 hour of code during that week. If they do, then they are able to get a certificate. You can even go as far as going to code.org to sign up. So here you can even sign up and host an hour of code and really publicize that your school is doing it. Okay, so sorry if you don't know what hour of code, that is what hour of code is. But here is just a list from code.org. So these are not part of a curriculum or a lesson. These are ones that students can just jump in. So here's Codable listed again. So Moana, Minecraft, Star Wars were all specifically made for hour of code in the last few years. And these ones I would say, some of them depend. They give you the grades there. But you guys know your students. If you test them out, some of them might be a little bit more complex than others. And this one, Coding with Anna and Elsa, is a great one. It gets a little difficult because you do have to understand degrees and turning. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into one of these just to show you what it looks like. So the other one we were looking at was basically just moving arrows. Okay, this one, and these do all start with a nice little video. The videos are great whether you watch it together or when your students get in, they'll all be able to see the videos and read the transcripts on what they're doing. Okay, so this one is a little different because we're not moving arrows. This time it's block coding. So this is kind of a form of JavaScript that we're working with. So we just have to move the blocks over and connect it to when run. Okay, and it even tells us over here that we want to hit the run button to try our program out. Okay, so that means, you know, we can explain to students that when run, so when we press the run button, it's going to do everything we put below it. Okay, right now I see Elsa and I just need to move her forward. So I'm just going to try this first block and see if just moving her forward will get there. Yep, and that's it, just one line of code. But it will get more complex as we move on, okay? because as you can see, I have to move forward, but this time I have to turn, all right? So I need to decide, am I turning right or am I turning left? I'm going to turn right. And here, I don't need to change this one, but this is what I was talking about with the degrees, is that I can change the degree amount that I'm turning, okay? Now, will that get me to the end that I want to get? Oh, keep coding, something's quite not right. So I'm going to click reset, and I see that I need to move forward again, okay? Yep. All right, so there you go. Like I said, they do get more complex as they go on. This one, as you can see, has multiple levels. And then they can click on I finished my hour of code and get a certificate, or you can also print out certificates for them, okay, if you're doing it as hour of code. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one. So like I said, there's multiple ones in here that you can look at. I have not even been able to look at all of them because there are just so many in here. Spritebox is a really cute one. Spritebox is almost like Mario but it's coding. That one is really, really cute. Okay, so like I said, take a chance, look at code.org and the different ones that they have in there. Lightbot, this one has been one of my top favorite ones. Even teachers, when they get into Lightbot, love Lightbot. It can be very addictive, and it has some great music to go with it too. So you gotta love what you're listening to when you're doing a coding game. So this one has 3 levels. It has basics, procedures, and then loops, okay? So it has the 3 different sets in there. This is the free web version, so there is a specific website for it. So in the program, in the presentation that I shared, this will take you directly to the free one. It should. If not, then just make sure that you're clicking and getting to the web-based version, okay? Because there are apps for it, and I know some of them you have to pay for. So this is the free version that has 3 setups. I'm going to show you the middle one, which is procedures. So the first one starts where you only have the main block and that's it. So this one, because I'm starting a new set, it's going to give me some instructions. So as you see, we have the main slot, but it's telling me right now you will need more space than the main slot for these next puzzles. So they're giving me what's called procedure. So it's a new set of commands. Okay, so I get to put a different set of commands in there, but I have to put the P1 square up in the main to run that set of commands. Kind of sounds like a function. All right. So here, as you can see, it gives me exactly the set of instructions. That's why a lot of students, some students need help with this, but a lot of students are going to be able to look at this and understand what they need to do, okay? It just varies. This is one of the ones I did with 3rd and 4th grade this year. Some students need a little bit of help understanding, while other students, they were able to look at it. And this is actually a great opportunity, too, where I saw a lot of students, they were excited that they knew and understood, so they got up and walked around and helped students understand what they needed to do in the different situations, okay? So this one is similar to that first one where we're going to click some arrows. Now I've already done this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all these arrows over here because I need to move 3. Now what you do here is you light a square. So I'm going to put a light, and then I need to turn, okay? So I put this all in procedure 1 because I see that I have to do this 1, 2, 3 times. So what I'm going to do is that's my set in procedure 1, but up in the main area, I'm going to only put procedure 1 because why should I write this long thing out 3 times when I can just put P1 up there 3 times? So I'm going to run it and see what happens. There we go. So as you can see, this is one thing that a lot of students might have difficulty with because they might only put the arrows down here and then put P1 and the light and the turn, and that might make them run out of room. So there's a lot of various issues where I saw students had difficulty, but again, it was something they were able to problem solve, and I would just walk around and help, give them hints and kind of talk them through it, and just seeing their faces and how excited they got when they figured out, what they need to fix, which is when they have to fix something, that's the whole idea of your debugging. You're debugging a program, you're trying to figure out what's wrong with it. All right, so I'm gonna get out of Lightbot there. It's another great one. So scratch. Okay, so I want to show a little bit more with scratch. So this one you can sign up on your own, or you can do the CS first with it. Either one. Oh, this is. I will have to fix that. That is not the right scratch. There we go. Okay, so scratch.mit.edu. This one is the correct scratch. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm gonna create something in here. So with Scratch, it's much more in depth than I would say any of the other programs. So in Scratch, you have all of these different options of motion, looks, where they can talk. You can even put sound in there, pen, data. So events is one that you want to start with. So that's when, when something's going to happen. Like this is a big block when flag is clicked. So when we click the flag, it's going to do everything below it. Okay. Control. So you can repeat something. You can make it do it forever. Okay. There's if then statements in here. I mean, like I said, there is a lot that happens with Scratch. I have seen videos of where I think it was like a second or a third grader made a xylophone in Scratch. It was an electronic xylophone on the computer that you could play with, and they made it through Scratch. So you're able to choose, these are called sprites. You are able to add in more sprites or change, you could get rid of that sprite. And there's a lot of different ones in here that you can click on. Let's keep it with animals since we've got the, that one. We'll put the dog in there too. Okay. All right, so we've got the dog and the cat. So what I'm going to show you guys here, you can also even add a background. They have some backgrounds in here. You can also draw one. I believe you can upload one too. We're going to just put the blue sky one in here. All right. Okay, so we'll put our animals down a little lower. And as you can see, when I clicked on the background, you saw the background on the right, but then when I clicked on the cat, you saw the cat and then the dog. Okay, see how it kind of flips around to what you're viewing over there? Because they each have their own script. So I can even change what they look like by clicking on them, okay? So right now, I have this dog, but I could switch it to this dog with the tongue out, okay? Because he has two different views. The same with this sprite has two different views. So let's make him running, all right? So that's for costumes. I'm gonna go back over here. I'm gonna click on scripts. So this, I am clicked on the cat. So this is gonna control what my cat does. All right, and I'm gonna kind of go through this quickly just to show you how it works. So I'm going to put in when clicked, he's going to move 10 steps. And I'm going to say he is going to meow. All right. Now I'm going to click on the dog. As you see, my script went away because this is the script for the dog. So I'm going to say when clicked, and I'm going to actually have him wait. So I'm going to have him not do anything for, let's say, 3 seconds. And then I'm going to have him move 10 steps. Okay, let's try that out and see what happens. And 10 steps, as you can see, so it takes a little bit of playing around with because 10 steps is not very much. So let's say we make it 50. Ooh, that's a lot, 1,500. Say 50 steps. Let's make the cat 50 steps also. If I wanted to, I can make it so that the cat is repeating. There we go. The meowing. There we go. All right, so the meowing sounds weird because he is meowing repeatedly all at once. Okay, what I would need to add in here is a wait and then another meow to show that you need to meow, wait a second, meow again, and that's where my repeat wanted to go. As you can see, it's a lot of problem solving. You know, it's something students can play with and look into. It definitely is much more involved than the other coding programs that are out there. It did even take me a little while to play with it, but there are a lot of books and workbooks out there that you can use if this is something you want to try with your students, or maybe even just a small group of students, okay? But if you're interested in like a club or trying to do the CS first in your group, that one might be a good one because it gives you all the instructions right there, okay? Okay, so this one, the foos, this is really nice for younger grades again. There is, the hour of code is free for the foos. Other than that, all the other ones are paid for. So it's just a short version that you can do with it. You can get the certificate. And then there's also a lot of different puzzles that you can download for them, okay? And they can even, there's even a full command cheat sheet. There's a curriculum. You can get the solutions guide so you can help your students. It's very cute. It does take up, it takes a while to load. We were actually going to use this as one of our hour of code activities, but because it took so long to load, we couldn't offer it. So I'm not going to open this one up right now just because it does take a long time to load, but it is really cute. It kind of looks like a video game similar to Mario, where you're jumping around and trying to catch things. So. All right, so plugged in coding, a few other ones that you can check out. There's a lot of holiday themed coding out there like Santa Tracker, there's elf dancing, Tinker seasonal. So Tinker you do need to pay for other than a few set of free ones. The Tinker seasonal are also free. I have signed up and I get emails. They had a Chinese New Year, a Martin Luther King one. I think I've seen a Halloween one. So they have a lot of different holiday themed coding activities that students can do. Scratch I put on here. So we're seeing Scratch again. Because I watched a TED Talk video. The person who created Scratch, he actually created it because he wanted to make a different type of Mother's Day card for his mom. So when he decided to program something that would tell his mom Happy Mother's Day, he realized that this was something anyone could do. So that's why Scratch was made. So there's nothing specifically out there that is a template for a holiday themed Scratch, that at least that I know of, but it's something that students could make, you know, a holiday card for their parents or their teachers, okay? So apps and bots, I'm gonna just show you a couple of these. Like I said, we do not have any tablets. I really don't have any tablets that I'm able to practice these, but see, these are a lot of the popular ones that I wanted to give you links to. There is a Scratch Junior that is an app, and when you look at it online, it's all PBS based, so it has like Peg Plus Cat and a few of the other PBS shows on there. So that's definitely something to check out with. Some of them require that you, the FOOS has an app also. Some of them you might need an actual machine, so you're actually coding something from the app to the machine. Otherwise, they're similar to all the online ones, all the web-based ones. Okay, so those are just some of the different apps and bots that I wanted to share with you if you want to check those out on your own. All right, so that was all the plugged in coding. So now I'm going to take a quick peek over. We're going to take a look at unplugged coding. There are only, there's a few pre-made places you can go. And there we see code.org pops up again. Code.org, like I said, they are the producers of Hour of Code. So they have a lot of great materials. This code.org link is going to take you directly to all of the offline activities. All right, these offline activities are embedded into the curriculum, but if you just want to take a couple for your own and not do the full curriculum, then this is a great link to just kind of see what's out there, okay? They all have a video that goes with them that kind of explains what it is, and they give you all the templates that you need, the lesson plan, everything, okay? So it's all made for you. I'm going to show you that from here. I took a couple of these lessons and created my own. So like binary bracelets. This was a really cute lesson where students could take the first letter of their name and color in a bracelet to show that what binary looks like for their first letter and only their first letter. So I thought that was really cute, but we took it to a next level. And for the binary, which you're going to see this link, it is online, but you can do it offline too. So binary is how computers talk, and it's the idea of zeros and ones because it only uses 2 characters for their language, and that's it. So I took their concept, and we did do these through Google Drawings, but they could definitely be made for offline also. And there's a What's My Word activity where they can basically make a word and have everybody kind of try to guess it. So this would be the word hello. So you got the H, E, you've got L's, and then the O, okay? So see, it takes 8 characters to make one of our characters because they only use zeros and ones. And then the other one, so instead of just making their first letter, I thought it'd be cool if they made their name. So here's my name in binary, and I use special shapes. So they could do something similar, whether it's on Google Drawings or just on paper with crayons or markers. And they, you know, just as long as all the shapes are the same. So there's F, A, S, I, and G. Okay, so again, all of those just to make the one letter in my name. All right, so 1 letter, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. Okay. And then I also took from here, there was a graphing one. So graph paper programming. This is another great one that's really neat to use. And again, so I took it, but I modified it a little bit. Okay, and there's an example in here. So I modified it and kind of took their example and changed so I could give them what I was looking for, that they're gonna start a starting point and write the program on the side, and then they're gonna trade with another student. So in this example, you have to shade the squares. So you do have to tell the students, you know, the arrows, obviously the directional ones, we know where they're going, but more of the squiggly arrows would be where they shade in the square, okay? So this program here, when you start at the star, should give us this design. So you could give your class a puzzle a day, a puzzle a week, and they can make different programs and trade with each other. So there is a template here that I created kind of based off of what code.org made, just to make it a little bit cleaner and maybe something that could be done more often even, so they could just trade with another person and see if they're able to make their graph. Okay, and again, that's all coding because they're trying to figure out, you know, how are they giving someone else instructions to do exactly what they need to do. And then if they're not able to get it, they can look at it together and debug what the issue is. CS Unplugged. So this one, I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but this link takes you to a whole list of activities. They talk more about binary numbers. There's line drawing. You know, there's a ton in here that you can look into and see if these are anything that you could do with your classes. Some of these might be a little more high level, while the code.org might have a few lower level ones. So it's kind of a mixture, something to check out and see what your students could do. I also want to mention that if you're worried about how to introduce any of these to students, the binary code, we introduced binary by showing them a brain pop video. They had a brain pop video specifically all on binary, and it was perfect and described it greatly. There was also, when we did Hour of Code, we used brain pop again because there was a great video. Kindergarten through 6th grade, we used it and explained exactly what computer programming was and what they were doing. So if you're able to find other videos out there right now, those are the best ones that I could find that really broke it down and gave specifics on what they were. The last one is Legos. This is kind of more of a blog, but it is a very cute idea on how you can use Legos to teach kids computer coding. So it kind of makes it into almost like a little game for them of what they can do. So again, just a link that once you guys get this presentation, you can look at. And then again, the FOOs. So the FOOs, since we weren't able to do that one online during our Hour of Code, we did the offline. This link takes you to a different part of the FOOs website, and you can see there's a list of offline activities that students are able to do. It does give all the information how you can do it and the instruction sheets, and it just gives the different programming activities, looping, sequencing, events, conditional statements. So a lot of these are really good for, again, this would be more younger level to use. Help him make a sandwich. So you're trying to figure out the order that he should make the sandwich. So, you know, something that students should know how to do, but it's telling them the importance of order, basically. How important is it to understand, you know, the order of programming, even just the basics of the order of how to make a sandwich. So, okay, so they would just put the different numbers in the squares for the order of the sandwich. All right, so just talk about a few ways on how you can include coding. Like I said, you could do it as a may-do, or if your students finish early with an activity, they can go and do a computer, one of the coding activities. We offer it as a Symbaloo that all the students have on their laptops. So we are a one-to-one school. So on their laptops, they can all go to the Symbaloo and click on any of the coding activities. You can even have it maybe as a morning or a bell work activity station. If you do station rotation, you know, have that one be a little bit different and have it be coding. You don't have to have every single station always be your content. It could be something a little different. You can have just a digital day during the week. Maybe every Tuesday they do something digital, so you include coding that way. You can have task cards. So maybe it's your content, but certain cards relate to they're doing some sort of coding activity, whether it's online or offline. Coding game with review. Once you kind of understand the concepts of coding and how it's really a lot of logic statements, and a lot of it is really directional for in the beginning of learning how to code. You might be able to make a coding game that involves review of your specific content. Or even just create maybe some sort of year-long coding activity, what they could do from the beginning all the way to the end, and kind of builds up and grows what they're doing in coding. And I'll talk about year-long a little bit more in a second of what they could do throughout. So if you're wondering where you could start with coding and how you could include it, so consider a couple of questions for yourself. That coding, it is important. You may not know all the ins and outs or how to do it, and you're nervous. So just think about how are you going to introduce it. So like I said, there's some great videos out there. Brain Pop is really good. If you can find others, I know I scoured YouTube and finally just, you know, Brain Pop were the best ones that I could find. But, you know, maybe if you even know computer programmer or other teachers in your school who you could make your own video, that would really bring it home to the students on what coding is. You know, think about how often do you want your students to code? Do you want them to code once a week, once a day, maybe just once a month, okay? So that, considering how often you want them to code, may change what coding program they're gonna do. How do you want to include it in your class? So do you want it part of the regular curriculum? Do you want it just as a station, maybe just as a may-do? So consider that also. Because once you have those ideas down, you can kind of figure out which program you want to do. And then what program do you want to use in class? What do you want your students to get out of it? So just think about, do you want your students to just understand what coding is, or do you want them to eventually develop how they will get up to, you know, scratch level or higher for coding? Create a coding timeline for your class. So I actually created an example coding timeline that you guys can look at in a second, just as an idea of where you want your class to go. Maybe even give them some coding goals and create your own activities that they can do. So a little bit of a sample starting point. So you could do a timeline where from September to October, you just introduce and explain what coding is through discussion and videos. Just start with offline coding activities on paper, or coding each other, or even code the teacher. Have the students try to code a teacher, you know, sitting down in a chair. So they have to get from the doorway and they have to get to a chair. How would the students use specific language to tell the teacher that they need to walk forward and sit down? So from November to December, You could have them practice on code.org through those different curriculum that they have set up, and then eventually participate in Hour of Code in December so that they can get their certificate. January through February, you could have students sign up then for CS First, and that way you could have them, you can watch the videos and do the modules as a group, and then move them March through May to continue with CS First, but have them complete the modules individually. Once they've understood how the modules work, how they're using 2 screens, then they could do it by themselves and helping each other. And then that way they could possibly even make an end of year Scratch video. So they could program a little animation in Scratch about the end of the year or their coding experience. So I do have a couple of little additional links to check out. These are, I unfortunately don't have any of these to play with myself, but I did want to share them. Ozobots are very popular. They're little tiny robots that you can code on the floor. So most of the items here I wanted to show you were all free and available to you to try. So this is what an Ozobot kind of looks like. You can draw lines and the Ozobot will follow it. There is something called a Codemaster board game. I was looking at it. It looks, so if you want something just, like I said, is more of a may-do, that would be a good one. I was trying to give you all free ones, so these are just some other ones you can check out. Think and Learn Caterpillar, or Codapillar, that's more for, kindergarten or younger. Code and Go Robot Mouse, and then Code Monkey Island board game, which you can find on Amazon. And all these are links to get more information about those. But I just really wanted to show everyone that you can incorporate coding in so many different ways, and you can find it all over. So there are books too. These are some books that you can check out to find more information. 3 of them do deal with Scratch. Coding for Beginners Using Scratch is an Usborne book. They even have a Scratch workbook that you can get. So these are some different books that maybe if you can find them at the library or even on Amazon, online anywhere, that you can use them. So like I said, most of these were maybe more K through 8 students. For high school or older students, these are some of the higher ones you'd want to look at. The first one is mainly a link for 45 different websites to learn to code. When I looked through it, they all looked much higher level, such as Free Code Camp, General Assembly, the Odin Project, or Swift. And Swift is a very interesting one where you can create apps, and it's all through Apple. Based through that. Okay, so we did share the link for the slideshow, but if you wanted to get the slideshow, I made a tiny URL so that you could get to it and get to all the different links that I have put in here. I know this was a lot of information, and I hope what you get out of it more than anything is just the importance of coding and just introducing it. Like I said, I know it might be a little scary because you may not know what coding is fully yourself, but watch some of those videos. Search on YouTube for different videos, look at Brain Pop, get just a general idea yourself, and then you'll be able to tell your students about it. Because it's really just introducing them to it and letting them know how important it is for logic and problem solving. Okay. So that is all I have.
Okay, Connie, I want to mention too with that URL, if you can double check it, I'm getting a Google video. So if you can double check it, if it's going to the right thing, and then we'll correct either one.
Okay.
Yep. All righty. You can, let me get my video back up here, and got a couple of questions. Actually, just, yeah, the one question was about the, let me go back here, get to my here. The one question was about the slide presentation. So we'll get that on the question form as soon as possible. And we'll put that in here as well as on the YouTube slide piece. You also mentioned earlier about the Symbaloo. Do you happen to have that link as well that you could share, or is that kind of just kind of your class's special?
No, I'm able to get a shareable link for that one.
Okay. Oh, that'd be great. So people can at least get an idea of where to go. And it's not, is that something that anyone can use, or is it more specific to your curriculum and what you all do?
I would say it's something anyone can use. Even preparing for this, I found more coding Symbaloo out there. So if you're able to search through Symbaloo for just coding ones, there should be more, but I will share mine that it's not really based towards our curriculum. Some of it were the coding activities we did in for Hour of Code, and then other ones I've just been updating because, as I said, there's so many out there, so I've been updating more as I find them.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let me stop my screen sharing for a moment here and come on back.
Okay.
First of all, I'd just like to thank you, Connie, for your wonderful presentation. That's a lot of great information that I'm sure a lot of people will be learning lots about over the next few weeks, especially, and then kind of forever, really, as long as it's on the TILO YouTube page. Everyone else, thanks for joining in now, or is the recording. I do want to remind you to fill out the evaluation. It's very brief, and give Connie and or myself some feedback on how to improve if needed, or other suggestions or future links. And the last thing I want to point out, there will be a few more TILO events, TILO Presents webinar events coming up. I'm going to share that where you're going to find those in a moment here. Over the next couple of weeks, you'll see a few more of those start to show up. And let me get this out there. So on the TILO-Ohio.org/calendar page, we've got the embedded calendar, and you'll see that they usually show up like this as a webinar. And if you click on it, it'll give you the TILO Presents information, as well as a bunch of other things going on around the state and or other states nearby, like the McCall Conference in Detroit this year. But check this calendar out for future events. We have about 6 or 8 more of these sessions that'll be scheduled throughout April and May. So with that being the last thought that I have, I don't know, Connie, if you have anything else to share?
I just wanted to say thank you very much for having me. First webinar, I was very excited to do it, and I hope everybody gives coding a try.
Great, I agree. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, and have a great one.